Welcome to a scientific portrait of old age, a conversation on what science can tell us about why we age and how changes in longevity will transform society.
This morning I was looking at the World Health Organization website, and they will tell you that in almost every country the proportion of people aged over 60 is growing faster than any other age group. And this is a challenge to the sciences and to medicine to create technologies to promote healthy aging. But we also need to look to other fields, the technological as well as the social, to get a joined-up understanding of the broader determinants of health and well-being to adapt to this rapidly changing demographic.
It's an unparalleled opportunity, I think, to have a really interesting discussion with two people who've really kind of marked out extraordinary achievements in the field of sort of human life potential.
We have 1.5 million people now as older people in our society, but by 2050 there'll be 5 million here in this country.
Why do we age? Why do our bodies get older?
The telomeres are tracts of DNA at the ends of chromosomes that bind protective sheets of proteins. When the tracts get too short through natural processes going on in cells, then that protective sheath no longer works and the genetic material sends signals to the cells that say, function differently or don't replenish yourself. We certainly find that good telomere maintenance does seem to be required to get you into good old age without a lot of diseases that characterize much of what goes on in the elderly and which accounts for most of the mortality.
We're gaining 5 hours a day. Really, it's extraordinary what's happening. A girl born in 1981 was likely to live to about 89, and since then, one born now will live to 92. So the population's changing.
You mentioned the fact that the difference between the age to which women are average living and men
right.
is closing.
I think that's very conditional. So in the old order Amish, for example, there's no difference. So go figure, right? I mean, we don't know. Even in that very well-studied group, it's not well understood.
There are a lot of pluses, but we also have to face the challenges. In 2008, there were 3.2 people of working age for every person of pensionable age. And remember, it's today's workers who pay the costs of the older population. The ratio is going to fall to 2.8 by 2033. So very soon we'll have one person earning the money to pay for just over 2 people. We must learn to have our services, whether it's health, social care, housing, or whatever it is, geared to this changing demography. And I think it's where stigma and stereotypes and serious challenges, the greatest one being the various forms of cognitive disease, dementia, and the other neurological problems. If you don't have a name for it, you don't recognize it, you think this is normal aging, and then you stereotype.
What about this age 65 thing? I don't know what the situation is in the UK. In Europe, in many institutions, you get a lobotomy at 65. You are no longer capable. We don't talk about the pluses that old age brings, which is this enormous degree of experience, which I think is not just ourselves deluding ourselves.
I think that's a key point, because if you don't hold on to that experience, you just find yourself doing stuff again because there's nobody there who remembers why you weren't doing that in the first place. Everybody's stereotype, very, very commonly across the culture, and probably within the older groups as well, is that there's something invisible and somehow diminished about people who are older. That means they are instantly and easily discounted.
Yes, if you landed in the British Museum from outer space and you walked through, you'd say, well, this planet consists of young people, with beautiful limbs, right?
So I think you probably put it on televisions as well, or radio.
Yes, and health is somehow equated with youth, but health and vivacity and so on doesn't seem to be equated with getting older. We don't actually know what's optimal nutrition for older people. Most of the nutritional guidelines were based on something very important, which was getting people through development. The recommendations, though, are not known for what actually is optimal for, say the population, I'll make up a number, over 50 or something like that. So isn't that interesting that such a basic thing is how do you feed what will become a very sizable fraction of the population? We don't even have good data, and you look at the increase in life expectancy, you find out that, well, what's been elongated? Well, everyone would think, oh, well, this is perceptions, right? Well, what's been elongated is, what's after the health span, the long, years of morbidity and illness and so on, that's been stretched out. And it turns out it's actually the years up until that, and the years of sort of infirmity, whatever you call them, till death, haven't really expanded much. How do we push those health span years out and out and out? And I'm not talking about eternal youth, I'm talking about, yes, grey and wrinkled, but fit and active and mentally alive for as long as possible. I do try and stay very engaged, and there are cohort studies that relate later onset of Alzheimer's, in populations to people who have more interesting and engaging jobs and things like that. So staying very engaged and doing some exercise. And by the way, the telomere studies say it doesn't have to be all that much. So